Drew Curtis is here to talk about robot lawyers and kid hackers. Want to donate your organs? There's an app for that. And everything you ever wanted to know about pet cloning. All that and a whole lot more coming up on Tech News Today.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by CashFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today, episode 1548, recorded Tuesday, July 5th, 2016. This episode of Tech News Today is brought to you by Trunk Club. Get clothes that fit and look amazing without ever stepping into a store again. Trunk Club will help you create the wardrobe you've always dreamed of with your own personal stylist. Go to trunkclub.com/TNT and join Trunk Club today.
This is Tech News Today, the show where we take a shallow dive into the technology stories. Not a deep dive, otherwise we'd hit our head. Shallow dive.
We start shallow and then we push the ground down. We make it very deep.
I am Megan Morrone.
I'm Jason Howell, clearing out the cobwebs from being gone for a week. I apologize for many stupid things I'm going to say today. For that very reason, you're about to experience this because you're going to go on vacation.
I am, yes.
So, realize when you come back that this is probably going to be you.
Okay, well, I'm already on vacation, so maybe this episode will be me.
Excellent.
Saying whatever I want.
You never know. You never know. At least I'll have company at that point. Introducing into the show, Drew Curtis, founder of Fark.com, and possibly a dog in the background as well.
Yeah, how's it going? I decided to do this live from my local bar because I can.
That's where we love to do our shallow dives, from the local bar.
That's right. Unfortunately, you're also taking a deep dive into a pint of beer, and I didn't get the memo on that one. Otherwise, I'd be right there with you.
Mm-hmm.
It's all right.
Well, Drew, it's so good to have you. I mean, before there was Twitter, before there was Reddit, before there was Dig, there was Fark. You come before. Tell people a little bit about Fark before we get started.
Yeah, so much to my shock and surprise, we've been doing this for about 17 years now, which is about 16 years longer than I thought it would go. But yeah, still alive and kicking. Fark has been kind of hanging around like one of the grandparents of the internet, I guess. We've had some really weird honors and accolades put on us. It turns out that along with Boing Boing and a few other sites, we're going to go into the Library of Congress's digital archive that they're creating, which is really kind of embarrassing that they sunk so low. But, hey, that's not my problem. I didn't vote for it.
All right, well, let's get started with the news. It's time to go. Speaking of going back in time, it's time to go back to Comcast, Jason. Okay. Go back and get that set-top box that you just gave up. Soon you will be able to stream Netflix on it. Recode reports that Comcast will incorporate Netflix into X1, which means that later this year you'll be able to stream Netflix straight from your Comcast cable box. A bitter rivalry dating at least as far back as 2010 seems to be coming to some sort of end. What do you think? Who's excited about getting their cable box back?
I don't know if I'm excited about getting a cable box back. I think that ship has sailed, and I already have plenty of other ways to get, almost too many ways to get Netflix at this point. I suppose if I was still with Comcast, it would matter.
I was going to say, this is pretty exciting for like the 5 people that haven't figured out how to get Netflix on their TV yet, right?
Right, yeah. I mean, you obviously smart TVs, Apple TV, Roku, Chromecast. There are people probably with whom have dumb TVs still.
Right. And I suppose choice is good, right? Like Netflix on my PS3 is probably the best Netflix that I have used, just as far as like a straight up interface and interactivity and all that kind of stuff. They're all a little different, so I guess that's good. What I wonder about this is, and actually Comcast says that this isn't the case, but I imagine they would probably say that this wasn't the case, but how much influence kind of Comcast being in the crosshairs right now of the FCC when it comes to kind of like the competition aspect in the set-top cable box field, was that any sort of influence here?
Mm-hmm.
Because this is a pretty big turnaround.
Yeah, I'd love to know what the deal structure on the back end was on this one, but there's no way we'll ever find out.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, some money will change hands, but we won't ever know how much it is. Are you a cable cutter, Drew?
Just about, actually. It's more being lazy and the fact that I like to watch live sports once every month. I really should get rid of it, but I haven't got around to it yet.
I mean, I'll tell you, that right there has been the biggest challenge for me. We only got rid of Comcast, I don't know, probably a couple of months ago. But then, you know, the craziness in basketball, especially here in the Bay Area, happened. And it was like every single day, it was me or my wife just trying to figure out, like, how do we do what we just did and then still have the convenience of watching these games? And there's just no easy way about it, no matter how you slice it. So it's almost like you're picking one or the other at that point. I don't know if it's worth it, because that type of TV on a monthly basis is actually pretty expensive if you're only going to use it, you know, for once or twice a month for a sports, you know, event. So
agreed.
But Netflix, get it everywhere now, almost everywhere anyways. Chinese smartphone maker Huawei has high hopes when it comes to competing in the smartphone space on a worldwide scale. And like all OEMs, its marketing is directly targeted at standout features of its devices. Case in point, the Huawei P9 Android smartphone has been reviewed as having an impressive rear-facing camera on board, actually dual cameras. Over the weekend, Huawei posted a promotional image to Google Plus of a woman standing in front of a backlit sun at sunrise. The photo is actually it's a really great photo. It has a lot of kind of challenging aspects to it, particularly when you consider the hardware. You know, they alluded in the post on Google Plus that this was probably in some way, shape, or form related to the P9's hardware. Except that one feature of Google Plus is that it easily exposes the EXIF metadata of photos shared there. And in posting the image to the social network, Huawei actually exposed the actual rig that was used to snap the photo. And then when you take a look at that, it's a $2,600 Canon EOS 5D Mark III DSLR camera with a $1,900 lens. So I don't know. It sounds like what Huawei is saying at this point, because they've removed the post, and of course everybody is like, you know, did Huawei carefully structure their post so that they didn't necessarily say it's the P9 camera, but that they were alluding to, isn't this an inspirational image? This will inspire you to take great smartphone pictures like the ones you can take with a P9. I don't know.
You know, I heard that the Huawei's actual excuse was that it was a sheriff star that took the photo. I could be confusing it with something else.
Yeah, I mean, to some extent, this is just sort of like old-fashioned marketing, you know, lies, exaggerations that we're catching now because of all of our ability to see, you know, to see through the technology that people say they're using. And, you know, they said, well, they made a statement to Android police. They said, we recognize, though, that we should have been clearer with the captions for this image. It was never our intention to mislead.
I mean, okay, so here's what they said. The Huawei P9's dual Leica cameras make taking photos in low light conditions like this a pleasure. Reinvent smartphone photography and share your sunrise pictures with us. They don't necessarily go all out and say, like this one that we took with the P9, but it pretty heavily infers that it probably was the case. It turns out this was actually an image that was taken during a promotional advert shoot for the P9. So it was taken obviously with professional photo gear. Just makes you kind of wonder how often this does happen. EXIF data is easy to strip away. Obviously, Huawei didn't know that or forgot about that.
Or whoever was uploading it to Google Plus.
Exactly. But
I like their apology too. They apologized for getting caught. That's really sharp.
Pretty much. And they removed the post, so no harm, no foul. Now this also wasn't the first time. I actually remember this from a couple of years ago. Nokia showed off the Lumia 920 back in 2012, Windows phone back then. It had the PureView optical image stabilization technology, and there was a particular part of the video where, you know, a guy and a girl, they're on a bicycle riding, and it shows you the video without PureView, and it's all bumpy, and then they show the video with PureView, and if you watch the footage, they cross by a parked car or whatever, and in the reflection of the car, you could fully see a van with a camera person sticking out the window, you know, sticking out the door of the van. I mean, it was a fully, you know, kind of rigged thing, and they ended up apologizing for it. So it obviously happens. Bummer when you get caught, Huawei.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to donate your organs after you're dead?
Yes.
I mean, The Verge says you'll be able to designate yourself as an organ donor through just a few clicks in the Apple Health app. The company will allow you to sign up as an organ or a tissue donor when iOS 10 comes out this fall. Tim Cook has said he's wanted to help find more organ donors ever since he watched as Steve Jobs waited for a liver transplant back in 2009. Jobs, of course, did get his liver transplant, which he said extended his life for 2 years, they say. So, yeah, good Good on them. Just a few clicks away from donating your organs after you die. What do you think, Drew?
I don't think I can make this funny at all.
I know, right?
It might be better if they made it opt out. You remember how we all got that one U2 song on our phones? So I think what they had to do is like, hey, click here if you don't want to donate your organs. Well, that would help a lot, I think.
I think you're absolutely right. As silly as that sounds, that would help a lot.
It would work.
It would probably work if it was binding in any way.
But with you too, they can do with organs. Figure, right? Same thing.
Totally. Tomato, tomato.
You said you couldn't make it funny, but you could. See?
I tried.
I mean, what more can you say? Making this type of thing a low friction process is nothing but a good thing for the people that want to do it. But yeah, part of me kind of feels like it should be opt out, even though I know I'm going to probably get some email on that. But hey, I mean, why not? All it's going to do is help people.
Yeah.
People don't want to think of someone stealing their organs. That's why.
But it would be stealing.
Right.
Well, I guess it would be if it was opt out and you didn't know about it, but you don't need them anymore.
What do you care? You're dead.
Yeah, exactly.
I hope I die funny and end up on my own website in the process, because why not?
You make the front page for like half a day.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then other stuff continues to happen anyways. Like BlackBerry. Earlier last year, BlackBerry released one of its flagship devices. That was the Classic. Harken back to a time when the company was hitting on all cylinders with its hardware keyboard-focused devices. And now, 18 months later, which, by the way, I think is a pretty decent amount of time for any one smartphone model to be on the market, BlackBerry is moving on from the Classic. Basically, BlackBerry publicly is still saying that it's committed to BlackBerry 10 OS. But I know last week on the show kind of talked about the Senate, the U.S. Senate announcing that it's moving away from BlackBerry because of kind of a leaked document that BlackBerry is claiming now is not accurate, but that basically says that they're discontinuing work on all BlackBerry OS 10 devices, and including this. So it's like a changing of the guard in more of a permanent way, I suppose. Do you think, does anyone think the Android move? Because, I mean, basically what they've been doing is trying this experiment with the Android platform, with the BlackBerry Priv, and now it turns out rumors are that there are 3 new Android devices kind of in the works, even though the Priv hasn't been that much of a success. But I don't know. I guess they have to be committed to something, and the hardware approach isn't working. What do you guys think about this?
Does the Priv have a keyboard? Oh, sorry.
Yes, the Priv does have a keyboard.
Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
I was
just shocked to find out that BlackBerry still existed. I mean, that's great. I also like how they say they're catering towards people who really like the tactile keyboard. Who are these people? These are the same people that don't have Netflix on TV yet.
Exactly. Well,
these 5 people.
You look at the BlackBerry blog, and like they say, oh, it's a classic, and it's time to retire a classic. Yeah. Their last blog post was just like last month, where they profiled a man, like an executive, who used the BlackBerry Classic, and it's like, he's spending the day. Look, it's like that's the guy that also plays golf. Yeah, it's. But that was only last week, so they were pushing it at the old executives that play golf.
Okay.
So
pretty narrow market.
Yeah.
Maybe it isn't. I don't know. Maybe you can make a successful, thriving smartphone business on just old golf playing executives.
I never had a BlackBerry. Did you have a BlackBerry?
I did have a BlackBerry at CNET. It was actually. Was it the BlackBerry Curve? It may have been even before that, but it was my first, like, air quotes, smartphone. Was that just because it was the CNET issued device, and then shortly after that, the Motorola Droid burst onto the scene and forever changed news stories that I read every single day, because I do Android shows based on that. But.
Well, Engadget spotted a tweet by Microsoft's Phil Spencer offering a sneak peek of new Xbox avatars for people who use wheelchairs. It's not clear when they'll be introduced to Xbox Live. So, and apparently also the faces are a little bit different. I'm not familiar with the Xbox avatars, so someone else might need to help me out here. But yeah, someone just tweeted that it wouldn't be that hard to make wheelchairs for avatars, and they said, "Well, you're right, and we're doing it," and there they are. So I guess Second Life and Yahoo have had avatars with wheelchair choices for a while, but now Xbox is getting on the bandwagon.
Yeah, online identity, kind of catching up to actual identity, which is that people are all shapes, all sizes, all walks of life, and everything. I think that's a great thing. I don't know, is this Xbox Live for? Well, no, it would be for all, like, Xbox One and Xbox 360 and everything. I don't know if the avatar. I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't know if the avatar thing is still like a big deal.
Yeah.
I feel like avatars, like it took a while to get here. It's too bad this didn't happen sooner, but I'm happy that it's happening.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, WatchOS 3 also announced at WWDC they're going to have, instead your watch, the Apple Watch reminds you to stand up every hour. Now it'll say, roll, get ready to roll a little bit. So, it's just another thing that they're acknowledging, accessibility, which is always a good thing.
Absolutely. Up next, Drew is going to share a few of today's most interesting stories from Fark.com. Actually, a little bit of yesterday and a little bit of today, and it covers a wide range. We got a lot to talk about. Definitely some weird stuff in there. But first, let's take a minute to thank Trunk Club. They're the sponsor of this episode. Summer is here, if you didn't already know. It's time to, spruce up your wardrobe. Things like summer essentials, short sleeve button-downs, lightweight blazers, swimwear, all the stuff you're going to need this summer. Whether you're looking for beach formal attire, grown-up graphic tees, whatever you're looking for, actually, Trunk Club is a shopping game changer for men and for women. With Trunk Club, you'll never have to step foot into a store for your clothing needs again, because you get a trunk that's sent to your doorstep. Plus, you get your very own personal stylist for free. You just type in your measurements, share your style and spending preferences to connect with the right Trunk Club stylist. He or she'll contact you, and you can do that over the phone, email, messenger, however you need to understand your unique look and learn more about what you're looking for. I spoke with my stylist, Carolyn, and we had like a nice 20-minute conversation about the way that I'm used to dressing, the ways that I want to change it, my fit, my style, all that kind of stuff. Your stylist will select items from your trunk from over 80 top brands, and will send a preview of clothes that may be a good fit. You can review your trunk via email, and then you can make edits before it's shipped. So you get an email to start that says this is going to be in your next trunk, and you can go through, kind of trim it out a little bit. Your stylist will pick other things to kind of throw in there, and then you end up getting a trunk that's just the right things shipped right to your door. You'll have 10 days to try on the clothes. You keep what you like, and all you do is send back the stuff that you aren't going to keep. Like I said, Carolyn is my stylist. She knows my challenges at this point. I'm a tall guy. I've got long arms. And like my lifelong struggle is that everyone always says, okay, well, then you get an XL long sleeve shirt. But that might give me the sleeve length, but it gives me really boxy fit in the body. These are the things that you talk with your stylist about. She shows me kind of that she's more and more understanding my fit. And I've struggled with this stuff all my life. It's really kind of insane to have to try and go shopping because it never works out for me. So Trunk Club they're on my side, basically. They know how I work. Trunk Club is not a subscription service. Shipping is always free in both directions. It's premium clothes, expert advice, no work, thanks to your very own personal stylist at Trunk Club. Trunk Club is backed by Nordstrom, which means they have the highest standards in quality and customer service. So make a statement at the next big event on your calendar with a look that's handpicked just for you and your style. Get started today at trunkclub.com/TNT. Look and feel your best with clothes that fit you perfectly. That is trunkclub.com/TNT, and we thank Trunk Club for their support. All right, so let's take a little bit of time to talk about some of the articles that make the front page of Fark.com. This will give people a sense of what they find when they go to Fark.com. We went digging around. All three of us together found a few interesting stories, starting with this one, which it's a little too close to home. I was by no means an elite hacker as a kid, but I definitely learned a thing or two about hacking with my Commodore 64 back in the old days, all while my parents sat in the next room completely oblivious. So here's an article on Network World that shares 11 signs that parents might recognize that can inform them as to whether their child might be hacking and where to go from there. Tell us, I guess, what to look out for in this case, Drew.
Yeah, so first of all, for some background stuff, when I read articles, I'm sort of getting the meta on it. And this article is basically, hey, people who don't understand technology very well, be scared to death that your kid's all up in your stuff. That's pretty much what this article is, okay? So that said, the article is about a guy who is a stepdad who ended up having to battle his 15-year-old son who was learning the ropes, starting out with DDoS attacks and moving on to other, nasty, cyber warfare type stuff, probably based around Team Fortress 2 or who knows what, because it was, 10 years ago. But the upshot is that most of it has to do with, and I like this, we kind of picked this one out really early on. They've got it down as number 2 or number 3, but it's basically no evidence of porn usage by a 15-year-old boy would indicate that your kid is probably exploring these tools. And that's actually listed as well. They use different words, but that's what it is. But yeah,
Technical secrecy.
Yeah, go figure, right? My favorite one is the cable company calls you and says, hey, we think somebody is running a cyber attacks out of your house. Like, that's a big green flag right there that maybe your kid's into hacking.
Probably.
Yeah, number one I thought was pretty good too, which was they brag about it. Well, okay, duh. But at any rate, the upshot is if you're even reasonably technologically competent, you're going to know your kid is up to no good and have to try to figure out how to handle it. So I'm dealing with this right now. My oldest is 12 and my second oldest is 9, and they're already all over this stuff. It's fairly obvious if you know what to look for.
Well, I take issue with number 2, which is they seem to know a little bit too much about you, which I mean, we have kids around the same age. They don't care about us. Like that's not who they're going to hack, right? Like that is just silly. Like I think the idea that our kids would the first stop mom's email like that's probably not accurate, don't you think?
Well, that's the freak out one right there. They're trying to scare the crap out of you, and so they're like, oh my god, because what do you think they might know about you? I mean, just fill in the blanks on that one. So yeah, they're just trying to freak out.
Yeah, I mean, because that internet snooping only goes one way. The parents are snooping on the kids are not snooping on the parents. They are going elsewhere and changing their grades. We all saw War Games.
Well, just also remember that one of these tips is that if you're using monitoring tools on them and it's not coming back with any data, that's a red flag too. Yeah. So you might be snooping on your kid. You're just not snooping on the right parts. Right parts of the internet.
That's like when you have little kids and you don't hear anything.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, what? They were here a second ago and boy, got real quiet. What's going on? That means somebody's unconscious and bleeding out. Usually, I mean, theoretically.
Or they've gotten into something.
That's not a very specific.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
All right. So this next one is like, at least for me, the perfect storm of gaming stuff that I don't understand. On one hand, you have Minecraft. On the other hand, you have Pokemon. And then on top of your head, in an elaborate balancing act, you have the Game Boy Advance. Never played with any of those. But Drew, how is this even possible? How do these things intersect? Explain this to me.
Yeah, so I had to figure it out, and I went and asked an expert. I've got a 6-year-old daughter that plays Minecraft, so I figured if anybody knew anything about how this works, she probably would.
I think we have a video of said 6-year-old as well.
Minecraft? Can you tell me how this works, okay? So somebody built a Game Boy in Minecraft. See?
I see Minecraft.
Okay. Yeah.
It's so cool.
So can you tell me how this works?
Oh, there's Pokemon.
That's
oh my god.
That's the Game Boy. Yeah, but how did you build it? I know what it is.
I don't know how to do it.
You don't know how to do it? Well, you can build stuff in Minecraft, right?
Yeah.
Okay, like what? You can build like a castle.
Yeah.
And whatever. Okay, well here, I think this is a tutorial. Maybe you can learn how to build this.
No, I know. I already know how to build it.
You know how to build a Game Boy? And
Yeah.
okay. So could you do that for me later on? Like I got to go out and visit some friends later.
No.
Can you put a Game Boy together for me?
No.
You sure?
Shut down.
She is absolutely hacking you right now.
Yeah,
I can tell.
Totally.
I can tell. That's that no, Dad.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt. Yeah, it's the way this works. I had to look this up. I cheated, but it's pretty clever. It's using Minecraft blocks as pixels, and then it's overlaying skins on top of the blocks, and then basically rebuilds the entire thing anytime you make a move. It's kind of clever.
Yeah, when you watch the video, and actually, Kara, there is video below that link, and you can kind of see at some point he gets in there and starts playing. You'll see that the refresh rate is pretty slow on the image as you're running around in Pokemon, but
much like the original Game Boy, actually. So this is very accurate.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, then if that's accurate, then you got to be faithful to the original.
Well, it's accurate by accident. It just turns out they both suck.
So, and this is what kind of blows me away. This is where I was like, okay, I'm in way over my head. I know nothing about Minecraft. There's these structure blocks.
This is a live shot from the Matrix. This is Keanu Reeves shows up any minute now. I don't see him though.
And apparently, these are what kind of piece it all together. Which, man, okay. I've got a little bit of clarity from your daughter's explanation of this. I feel like I need to do more research. I need to.
Yeah, me too. I was
my
just
daughter
hoping
on
I
the
would have
task.
one when I got back home, and the answer apparently is not going to happen. Oh well.
Still, it's cool that you can do this. And I'm sure very soon we'll see Nintendo 64 in there or something along those lines. And that I can understand. Bots do everything these days, including litigate on your behalf. Tell us about the robot lawyer that is apparently helping people appeal their parking tickets. What's this all about?
Yeah, so this relaunched over the weekend, which is weird because it's a rehash of an older article. But the upshot is that, and it might have been us, might have been our fault. But yeah, they've got a guy who's been programming a bot to take care of parking tickets. Has 160,000 cases, which is a 60% success rate. That's not too bad.
Yeah.
You basically go to it online. You explain to it. It'll ask you a bunch of questions. This is sort of like Eliza for getting out of parking tickets. It'll ask you questions. It'll then print out an appeal form. You mail that to the court, and apparently 60% of the time you get off.
That is really impressive.
Yeah, we reported this last year when it first came out, and it is amazing, but it makes sense because I think, most of the time you just don't want to deal with it, and so I think that is great for bots. Bots should do all the things we don't want to deal with, like, contesting our parking tickets.
Yeah. No, hey, can it appear in court for you if you need to go kind of battle?
I don't think so, but that would be really funny because I don't know that lawyers are smart enough to identify ELIZA type programs. So I'd like to see it.
We have this running on an iPad on one of those like moving wheel things that we have downstairs here at Twit. And then I'm also kind of wondering once, how long we're gonna have to wait before this bot appears in something like Facebook Messenger. Probably not very long. It seems super close to the realm of reality of what we're already seeing. So awesome that you can. Finally, tell us about pet cloning and why we'll never have to live without our favorite pets ever again. This is kind of frightening.
Yeah, so this sort of goes along the lines of one of my favorite bar bets, which is, what could they tell you they just invented that would surprise you? And the answer is not much. It's pretty much like time travel and resurrection. And the reason I mention that is because apparently in South Korea, they've got a dog cloning clinic up and running, to which I wonder, we didn't have this already? I thought this existed somewhere else. So it turns out if you live in South Korea and don't mind $100,000 a shot, they will clone your dog, so you can leave all of those sheltered dogs to rot and die, I guess. But at any rate, so if this seems like a good idea to you, if you thought the last dog you had was the best dog you will ever have, you can sign right up and do this. What was interesting to me about this is that I live in Kentucky, and I got a buddy of mine who is a venture capital guy, and he has invested in a company that has cloned Kentucky Derby winner Storm Cat over 125 times now. Like, we're talking like they're running around in a field somewhere. I don't know where. He won't tell me.
And they're all running at equal speed.
Exactly. Nobody's winning. And
nobody's winning.
It's proving our worst nightmares about cloning, basically. But no, he was doing it because horse racing has very strict rules about cloning, as in you can't clone anything. But it turns out other types of horse racing or horse competitions, including dressage and whatnot, don't really have any cloning rules. And so the idea is to create additional genetic material. I mean, it's kind of like, let's say the NBA has rules against cloning, but the NHL doesn't. Could Michael Jordan be a good hockey player? Hey, let's find out. So that's kind of what the idea is.
Yeah, I have to imagine that cloning could be seen as performance enhancing in the sense that, you weren't alive, and so your performance is done, except now you are alive again. You've been enhanced, and now you can perform again. I don't know. So, I don't know.
Like I said, I was surprised we didn't have this already.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Like, when I read this, I was like, oh, yeah, I feel like I heard about this a couple of years ago. But apparently, if you've got $100,000 to blow, and what did they say in the pet cloning thing? They're from the company that's doing it. It's SOAM Biotech Research Foundation. They're the ones that has the huge lawn of cloned pets. They say these people have a very strong bond with their pets. That is true. That is obviously
$100,000 strong.
Yes. It's about as strong as it gets.
Yeah, I'm just going to go get a free dog at the shelter. It seems like a better deal.
Yeah, I think so. Well, FARC.com to see all these stories and your unique take on all their headlines. That's the best part. Yeah. That's always been my favorite. Just sometimes, you don't need to read the story. Just your headlines make me giggle, and I have enjoyed it And
great community.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we got some feedback. George from Yonkers, New York, wrote in about our discussion of last week's Tesla accident that resulted in the death of Joshua Brown. George writes, if the truck was making a left turn, then it sounds like the truck was at fault, unless Mr. Brown was speeding, as I think some stories have alleged. If Mr. Brown was speeding and the car was in semi-autonomous mode, then Tesla and Mr. Brown share some of the fault. I think Tesla programming should follow all the traffic laws, including the speed limit. Not a sexy way to sell cars, but the law is the law. Also, I don't think autonomous vehicles will be widely accepted until there is car-to-car intersection communication. I don't just mean with autonomous vehicles. I think all cars should have intercommunication. It might have helped in this case if the car and the truck had a beacon or something that the other could understand. Absolutely, when all the self-driving cars can talk to each other, that would be great. But yeah, It was a sad story, but it's sad because it was something that we were expecting, and I don't know.
It happened with the train. It happened with the first vehicle. There's always a first for these things. I still just don't know how I feel about any sort of like vehicle on the road with a beta feature. No matter what, people are going to bypass / ignore any of those warnings because they think they know better than the other thing. So I don't know. I don't know if that means that we protect people from themselves in some way, shape, or form in this regard. I don't know. How do you feel about this feature with Tesla and kind of what it means to autonomous driving?
Yeah, I think it's just sort of bad luck. I mean, it was going to happen at some point, and you can't account for everything. That said, I mean, I read a really interesting review, and I can't remember what blog it was, Gizmodo or whatnot, about a guy who was like test driving the autonomous features of the Tesla. And he said that after like the first ride, you sit there and you have your hands on the wheel the whole time. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. The second and third time, you take a nap. And so I think that given that that's more or less how this is going to play out, you're going to have to, I think there's going to be a few accidents along the way. But at the end of the day, the number they're shooting for is less than 35,000 people a year killed is a win. 0 would be a lot better, but at the end of the day, it's probably going to be an improvement.
Right.
Yeah, we're just not used to having these kinds of discussions. Like, how many people are going to die? Is it a less, is it a fewer people going to die? Yeah. Great. Like, we just don't like talking about those things. But this discussion is definitely bringing that to fore.
Yeah, I guess especially when you consider that most people that are having these discussions were not around when the automobile was created. So, all we know is life with the automobile, where these kind of considerations have already been lived with and considered, so long ago. And now, yet this is definitely a shift in the paradigm of what we think of when it comes to driving. Now suddenly we're forced to kind of talk through these things, and that feels weird. It totally does. But
and here's a different way to look at it too. Let's say that Elon Musk's Hyperloop thing was deployed in every city across the United States, but it killed 35,000 people a year. Nah, that would not fly.
Right.
So it's what you're used to versus what's new.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Right. TNT's fan of the day is Joshua Kellogg from Jacksonville, Florida. Josh listens on his drive to different job sites where he goes for water remediation. Josh added that he's a Windows and Android user, is very much into putting stickers on his laptop, because that's a topic that comes up on this show from time to time. He also had his own thoughts on iPhone storage, saying that his work issues him a baseline 16 gig iPhone 6, and that the included storage is just fine for his work needs. But Joshua, listen up. Joanna Stern at the Wall Street Journal today has a source that is confirming to her that the new iPhone will indeed start at 32 gigs of onboard storage. So whether you need it for work or not, get the new one and you'll have more to not use.
Especially that headphone jack you won't get to use.
Yeah, that's true. You might need an adapter for that. That might, that might be a distraction there.
Yeah, I should explain the sticker thing since you weren't here last week.
Oh, okay.
We made we were discussing whether stickers on laptops were a more Android thing or a more Apple or a more Google PC type or Apple. I don't think it goes down. I don't think it falls down on operating system lines.
But now
that's why he was pointing that out.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then that makes more sense. I thought it was just the recurring sticker theme. Drew, are you a sticker on laptop guy?
No, I'm not, because I'm an alpha quitter. And I don't like doing the thing that everybody likes to do because it's cool. So I have a completely clean MacBook Air that's 5 years old because that's how I roll.
Excellent.
I feel like I'm too old for laptop stickers. I'm just going to admit it.
Oh. I don't feel like I need everyone to know what operating system I love and use all the time.
No, you don't feel like your logo has to be bigger than mine? Not at all.
Yeah.
I'm bigger than that.
It's not weird or anything. That's no problem whatsoever.
I've never felt weird about this sticker until just now. Now I feel really weird about this sticker. Show us. We'll see. I might not have the sticker tomorrow. Show us how you watch or listen to TNT. Just record a video or take a picture of yourself or your setup. Post it on Instagram, Google+, Twitter, or Facebook. Use the hashtag HowIWatchTNT, and we'll find it.
For our last story, I wanted to get the most farkish story that I could for you, Drew. The San Francisco Chronicle reports on a thief who robbed the wrong garage. The burglar must have thought he'd hit the mother lode. We nabbed a laptop, 3 bikes, and a Ford Explorer. Little did he know that the home he'd broken into was the live workspace of a GPS tracking company called NOAA Technologies. Everything he had stolen had been equipped with the company's GPS tracking devices. The criminal was almost immediately caught. The laptop that they stole was the only thing that didn't have one of their devices on it. And they didn't have Find My laptop turned on, which was the sad story. So they didn't get that back.
And no identifying stickers, as I can see.
Yeah, no stickers. So don't steal things from GPS tracking companies.
And for the love of God, don't steal a Ford Explorer. You won't get more than 3 blocks.
It almost feels like they were trying to test it because there was a tracking on the keys and on the car. And you can't buy their tracking devices yet. They're just for bike share. NOAA works with bike share programs. You can't sell to individual.
Yeah, this is a roundabout way of marketing the product.
I know. I wondered if it was.
Me would say that this might have been staged completely because they didn't catch the guy. They just got all the stuff back.
Yeah. So, yeah, I did wonder about that. But it's the San Francisco Chronicle. I trust them.
Yeah. But do you trust the people telling San Francisco Chronicle?
Yeah, exactly.
Good question.
Either way, very clever. If it was faked, good job, guys. Well done.
Yeah.
So besides FARC, what else are you working on these days, Drew?
So I've got a couple of projects in the works. I'm working on sort of an expansion to FARC that before everybody in my community freaks out, you're not going to notice. Don't worry. But that's sort of in the beta phase right now. And I'm also working on a new book on tech disruptions, but I'll have more to talk about that later on once we get that all nailed down. But there's some exciting stuff that's going to happen as a result of it.
Nice.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Drew Curtis is at FARC. He is on Twitter at, I think your Twitter handle is there, Drew Curtis on Twitter.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. So thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you, Drew.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was fun.
Appreciate it. Next time I'll remember to drink a beer.
Yeah.
Or bring one and then drink it.
I'll get you one.
Okay, cool. I appreciate that. There's a service, I think, where you can send someone money for a beer. I'll get in touch with you so you can send me money for a beer. That's not awkward at all. Okay.
No, that's not weird or strange sounding. Yeah, sure.
All right. Thanks again, Drew.
Take care.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so Megan, you begin your vacation extravaganza tomorrow, and I am sad because I won't have you here helping me with the show, but I'm happy because you get to take a vacation, and then I'm jealous because you get to take a vacation and I'm working. But it's okay because I just took a vacation.
You did take a vacation.
This all happens in my brain. This is what happens when you're gone for a week. I can't wait to see what your brain is like when you're back.
Me too.
In your place, I've invited my good pal, Jonathan Strickland from How Stuff Works. So he's going to be not sitting in your chair, but sitting in a monitor next to me. And we'll talk all about tomorrow's tech news together. TNT records live every Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. UTC at twit.tv/live. You can be a part of the show by emailing us at tnt@twit.tv. You can leave us a short voicemail, 260-TNT-SHOW. And you can find us on Twitter at Tech News Today TV.
Many of you participated in our annual Twit audience survey at the beginning of this year. You provided helpful feedback on our programming and advertising practices. Our partner, Podtrack, is currently asking avid podcast fans, including Twit listeners, to chime in and provide anonymous information about the trends and needs of podcast audiences. If you're interested in participating in Podtrack's audience panel, visit podtrack.com/panel for more information. And for all the ways to subscribe to our show, go to twit.tv/TNT. And if you want to tweet at me, I am at Megan Morrone.
And I'm at Jason Howell. Thanks to our technical director, Kara Cole, and Greg with the words and the one arm, and all the folks who help us produce this show every single day. And thanks to you for talking tech with us. I will see you tomorrow. Megan will be on a beach. Bye.